Hi everyone, how's it going? This is just a quick presentation I put together just on some things I'm doing, some thoughts I have, and maybe it might be a little bit of a spark for someone or help them along their decision making for what we can come up with. So starting off with any project, I always try and work with this kind of a view here to make it relevant first of all. So it's got to be going where we want to go. It has to be manageable. So if you look at the two pictures there, you have one guy going up in little short steps and he can work it. The other guy, if he bites off too much, well, he's never going to get up to that first rung. And that kind of links into being transferable, because whatever we do here, hopefully, we'll be able to be mimicked and copied on other farms with a view to kind of widen it out over the whole area. So basically, what have I been doing to date? So far, I have, with the help of Cian, applied to the National Parks and Wildlife for a scheme using these guys here. They're called virtual no-fence collars. I came across it online. It was a study being done in the Highlands in Scotland by the Scottish Agricultural College, basically where they're trialling these collars on cattle to graze the Highlands, basically areas of the Highlands. So we have commonage where we don't really utilise it that well. So I said, if they can do it in the Highlands, we might as well try it in North Leitrim. The idea is when you have the collars on the cattle, as they approach a theoretical boundary, a beep starts to increase, and when they touch the boundary, they get a shock. So you train them before they go up. You just put them into a field. There's a couple of steps you do, but it's pretty basic. Cattle are quite smart animals, and you don't have any issues then really with it. So the idea is, I've only done it for 1 year. It's in year 1 of 5. Hopefully, this will be piloted out to other farmers on the commonage and further afield within Leitrim. There's a lad down in Rossinver also trialling it. You can see from this particular day where they were for predominantly. Most of their time, the wee red dots is when they were most of their time spent, and the green and yellow obviously is less time. Anyways, this is in conjunction with Sligo IT, and there's a farm group down in the Midlands. They're not a group, they're an advisory farm body, and they are doing ecological studies. Basically, we want to see what's happening at the start and how do these little lovely guys graze the land. So these are Dexter herd. They're kind of a subsidiary to the main thing, crack here. We were suckler and beef, suckler and sheep, should I say, and selling the weanlings. And I set up this wee herd just kind of to do things like this, and they're made for the mountain, really, you know. But that's what I'm at so far to date. This is kind of a big enough thing, so it probably might be a wee bit too much for anyone to bite off straight away. But a couple of other things on the farm that I'm doing. One is a thing called holistic plan grazing. So holistic plan grazing is what these chaps are at here. You're basically mimicking nature in that you tighten up your animal. Probably, I don't know how many cattle are there, about 14 or so, in an area about the size of half an acre, so to speak, using electric fencing. You can see the height of the grass. You have it up to about knee height. You leave it for maybe 2 months in the summer, so all the grasses are predominantly, a lot of them are starting to flower, and along with that, there are other plants who are going to have their field day as well. That really gives, all the insect life and smaller microorganisms a chance to flourish when they have different habitats to survive in, or not just habitats, but plants to graze on and do their thing. So how this works is you put them into a tight area, as I said. You have a mobile water unit which follows it, and then over here I've got well, that's not a requirement to have this, but it's the solar pump. It takes water out of the river, which is over here, and that provides them with the water. So why does this work with biodiversity? Well, there's a couple of things. First off, you're letting your plants flower. If you do that, you're increasing the amount of insect life. Further with that, you've got a huge amount of photosynthesis going on, and as in the next slide I'll show. So I'll flip to the next slide first. Going back then here to the holistic plan grazing, what do? You leave it for June or August, so you get lots of growth, allow for the flowering, increase the insect life. You graze a third, you trample a third, and you dung on a third. These 2/3 that are left behind are really important because they create organic matter. This type of grazing works really well in dry countries where topsoil erosion will be a big problem. But equally, it can work in our context, but with a different result for what we're looking for. That's kind of a big one that I would love to try myself. Carbon sequestration, bringing you back to maybe junior cert science, any that did it. Plants can make food in their leaves. Okay, the more leaves they have, the more food they make. a big thing that they do, they take water from the ground, carbon dioxide, join them together with light, and make their glucose. But an interesting fact, which I've only found out in the last couple of years, is that 40% of the food they make, they release out through their roots in what's called root exudates. They're like liquids, right? And this is just, manna from heaven for all the mycorrhizal fungi and bacteria and things like that are floating around here. And they create a relationship with the plant. They get the sugary root exudates, and then they take or harness minerals from the soil and give it to the plant. So it's a win-win situation. That's really good for biodiversity. It's also really good for carbon sequestration, which is another part of the show, part of the pillars that we're trying to focus on here in the group. I'm kind of doing it anyways. Other options on it is things like the marsh fritillary butterfly. This we plant here, Devil's Scabious. It's quite, I won't say it's common on our land, but there are parts of our land which has it because it's not intensively farmed. There's parts that wouldn't have it, obviously. This guy allows this guy to survive. He's been lost out, so he's endangered. How do you protect it? Well, obviously, let the land where you have it go, well, I won't say to wild over the months of June, July and August, but definitely in such a way, because you don't want too much growth either, because it'll knock him out of sync, but definitely allow him come to seed. Then in November time, harvest that seed. Following March, scarify a bit of ground with a rake or whatever, break it up a bit, scatter your seed, and then see what you can get growing. Other things I kind of float my boat, bit of the old beekeeping, not bee farming, not making honey, simply beekeeping. It's a really, really enjoyable hobby. I took up over COVID. It's not terribly difficult, so you do need the kit to do it. I think it's a great benefit on any farm because it just increases also the pollination and the regrowth of all the plants, amongst other things. And yeah, I don't think that's a big thing for someone to get into if they got a little bit of advice. The last thing then I have a big interest in is agroforestry. This isn't the last thing, but planting trees in the land. You never see rushes around the base of trees. I think there's a big scope for this within the next cap. The problem with it now is if you plant any trees in your land, you're automatically ruled out of payments. I can justify a little bit of that, but too much of it is a problem. And you see these guys here, all the properties that are in certain amount of leaves. Now you don't want too much of it. It's just, you put them into a field, you know where they go for sometimes. The last one is a very simple one. It's a simple thing called species identification. I do it with my class at school. There's a lovely app called Seek. I go out and around the farm, take pictures throughout the year, what I got. You put this over, you then can make a wee booklet or a little kind of a folder with everything that's on your farm. I think it's a nice starting point because a lot of us don't know what biodiversity really means. Bio means life, diversity means a variety of it. It's as simple as that. But when you break it down for people, they kind of think it's just a buzzword. You can show all the different types of life that are on your farm. Anyways, that's about all I have to say for this. Some ideas might help people. Some, might be a bit too far on at the moment, but it's just to get the ball rolling from my end. So best of luck with everyone and hope to see you all soon. Bye bye.